birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear.
Before we start, let me just say I hope you're prepared for cutscenes, as this episode is very plot-heavy. The usual skipping timestamps will be on the bottom of the screen, but I'd really suggest you don't use them unless you've played the game before, because going by the end of the last episode, I feel a bunch of important stuff is about to happen you shouldn't miss. Talk to you in a bit.
Did you do this?
You're late.
But why? Why?
Revenge for 17 years ago, for one thing. If not for him, our dream would have come true. And then he took you away from us.
I'll get you for this!
There is another reason. To fill your heart with hatred. It must be this way. One day you'll understand why.
No, I'll never understand!
You must try to remember me, and your true self as well. You will birth a god, and build an eternal paradise. He's the one who killed your father. I merely gave the order. So, what will you do? I'll be waiting where all begins. In the town of Silent Hill.
No time to mourn for Harry. Not now. Claudia's servant, the missionary, is a powerful soldier of the Order, and the most human monster we've come up against. The missionary doesn't have any particularly monstrous qualities, resembling a blood-soaked man wearing a butcher's apron, with a stitched-up flesh-like bag covering his upper body and head. While his eyes can't be seen, his nose, mouth, and overall shape are suspiciously human. And he's intelligent enough to follow orders from Claudia and use weapons, calling into question whether the missionary is truly a monster at all. In battle, the missionary wields a pair of bladed tools he holds like tonfa. He'll sprint around the rooftop and try to quickly slice at Heather. Unlike other enemies, the missionary is smart enough to deflect any bullets that are fired at him, as opposed to just mindlessly tanking them. This means the only way to hurt him is to bait him into an attack, run out of the way to dodge, and then shoot him in the back. Preferably with the shotgun, as its knockdown effect still applies to the missionary even though he's a boss. Then you can finally make good use of that maul we got in the underpass. After knocking him on the ground, quickly switch to the maul and you'll have just enough time to do a strong attack with it, saving a considerable chunk of time and ammunition.
I don't know what to say.
Then don't say anything. I'm fine, so just get out of here and leave me alone already!
Calm down.
Calm down? How am I supposed to do that? My father is dead! He's murdered! Get out! This is all your fault! it weren't for you!
I'm sorry.
Then go!
If it'll make you feel better, I will. Is he okay like this?
What else can I do? There's no one here to give him a decent burial. I'm sorry, Dad.
What do you do now?
I'm going to Silent Hill.
What's in Silent Hill?
I don't know.
Do you think it's safe?
Of course it isn't. I don't know what kind of hell is waiting for me there, but I've got no other choice. I don't care about God or paradise. If that's what she believes, then fine. But she won't get away with what she did. When I find her, I'll kill her myself.
Revenge doesn't solve anything.
Maybe not, but that's what I'm going to do.
How are you gonna get there?
None of your business.
I'll give you a ride.
I don't need your help.
Yeah, but it's too far to walk. Besides, I'm partly responsible for this. I'll bring the car around back. Come by when you finish saying goodbye.
You know, you might die too.
That's fine. Nobody's gonna cry over my grave. I just met some guy named Vincent.
Vincent?
He's a friend of yours, right?
I'm not sure.
He said when we get to Silent Hill to look for a guy named Leonard. And he gave me this map. What do you want to do?
We can't trust him, but we've got no other choice.
Here, take this too.
What's this?
Your father was holding it.
I hope this'll never come to any use. Maybe it's better if you never know. More than anything else, I fear the possibility of you going away, far from me. But sometimes we have to tell the truth. That's why I'm writing this. Before I'm lost in death and oblivion. What happened back then? That has something to do with who you are. It all started 24 years ago. Coming back from a vacation, my wife and I found a baby on the side of the highway. Since we were childless, we thanked God for letting us meet this child, this girl. We took her home. 3 years later, my wife died. And another 4 years later, 17 years ago, I came to Silent Hill. I heard the girl's pleas and took her with me, not knowing why she wanted us to go there. and it was there that the girl went away. Not that she actually went anywhere, nor did she die. Returned to her original self. That's what Dahlia Gillespie said. Original self. That was the young woman burned by her mother as a sacrifice to God, Alessa Gillespie. Half her soul escaped in those flames and went on to live in a baby, in that girl of mine, of ours. 7 years passed before that half a girl returned to Silent Hill and made Alessa whole again. Newly strengthened, she vowed to kill God. God, a fetus nestled into the sacrificial girl's womb, was summoned with the usual rites. This was Alessa's wish, no matter what the outcome, even if her own existence were at stake. That wish was not granted. My interruption meant she prayed instead for the girl's return. I alone couldn't bring her back. Dahlia did it. I only helped at the birthing ceremony, to bring God out of Alessa. The newly born God wailed once and was dead. All from that girl's, and probably Alessa's, conscious resistance. That's not the end. After God had vanished in a glow of light, Alessa reappeared and gave me a baby. She looked a lot like that girl so long ago. And then Alessa was gone. Dead. There was nothing I could have done to help. I simply clutched the baby to my chest and ran off. The whole thing felt like a dream, but I had proof that it wasn't. The girl was nowhere to be found, and in my arms, the baby. Now 17 years have passed. It feels like only yesterday. And again, it feels like a million years ago. I confess I had reservations at first about raising that baby. Could I love her? Her existence was thoroughly unexplainable. I thought she could be that young woman who snatched away my beloved daughter. That led to sadness, anger. There were times when I put my hands around her tiny little throat. Several times I even considered abandoning her. That's what a terrible person I am. But I decided to raise her after all. I just couldn't seem to let her go. When you look at me, you laugh. So, even now I can't forget about that girl. But I love you. I have no doubts about that. That's all I ask you to believe.
Started raining. Are you sleeping?
I'm awake.
You cold? What's the deal with Silent Hill anyway? It used to be a nice, quiet little town. But now...
You've been there?
Once. On a missing persons case. Never did find him. But I'll tell you, that's one screwed up town. My line of work, you hear a lot of nasty rumors.
I was born and raised there.
Sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
No offense taken.
Anyway, I thought you grew up in Portland. What's wrong? Feeling sick?
My head's pounding like the worst hangover ever.
Maybe you're car sick.
No. I'm just trying to remember. My childhood. Something terrible happened in Silent Hill 17 years ago. A woman named Dahlia. She tried to summon the ancient god of the town. She offered up her very own daughter.
That's crazy.
Maybe so, but it worked. The girl gave birth to a god. You see, that girl had special powers.
Powers?
Her classmates called her a witch. She could make things happen with her mind. She could kill people just by wishing for it. But in the end, that god was killed by a single person. My father, Harry Mason. I guess it wasn't much of a god if it could be killed by a human being. But I think Claudia's trying to do the same thing again. And I've been chosen as the sacrifice.
You've got some kind of power in you too?
After the god was killed, the girl reappeared. She was holding a baby in her arms. Before she died, she gave the baby to my father. He loved me just like I was his very own daughter. Even though he didn't know who or what I was. It was so sudden. I never had a chance to tell you how happy you made me.
So, if you hadn't figured it out yet, the game just outright tells us that Heather is the reincarnation of Alessa Gillespie, and by extension, Cheryl Mason. Looking back, there's been a ton of hits that make it pretty obvious in retrospect. If you've played through Silent Hill 1 and gotten either of the good endings, you certainly would have put it together at some point prior to this, but it's nice to have the confirmation. Now it would seem Claudia is trying to repeat the events of 17 years ago, murdering Harry so she can use Heather's pain and anger to once again bring the cult's fucked up version of God to life. In order to stop her, Vincent suggested we go see Leonard Wolf, Claudia's father who's been missing in Silent Hill for some time. While Douglas goes to check out Leonard's home, Heather heads out to look for him at the Brookhaven Hospital. Finally back in home sweet fog-covered home. The town that takes all, Silent Hill. It is comfortable and nostalgic in a strange sort of way. Wandering through the misty abandoned streets of Silent Hill is the only time stamina is really a factor. I've intentionally neglected to mention it before now because it had no real impact on the previous areas. Heather has an invisible stamina gauge that wears out when she runs or uses a melee weapon repeatedly. The lower her stamina, the more slowly she moves and attacks. Stamina is replenished when it's not being expended, i.e. walking, but it recharges even faster if you stop completely and catch your breath. The section of Silent Hill we're currently in is Southvale, the same area in which Silent Hill 2 takes place. As such, there are a few familiar buildings we can see, most notably the Heaven's Nightclub. This is where Maria worked and briefly visited with James on their way through town. The only thing here now is a travel brochure, some ammo, and a medkit, but it's still a cool little optional detour. Contrary to its name, Brookhaven isn't your standard hospital. It's more akin to a psych ward or a mental institution, a place where people with neurological disorders can go and get help for their condition, in theory at least. In practice, unfortunately, like many real-world mental asylums, the patients are treated horribly, regularly ignored and abused by the unsympathetic staff. None of that matters now. Silent Hill is an empty ghost town. It's not like we're going to be walking into a patient or something. Simply called nurses, or in some guides, demon nurses. These enemies are Silent Hill 3's interpretation of the various nurses featured in nearly all Silent Hill games. Much like the missionary, nurses aren't monstrous in any visible way, appearing as human women with pale white skin and a standard nurse's outfit, albeit one caked in dried blood. Even the cries they let out upon taking damage or dying sound distinctly like a person. Their faces are that of an attractive woman. Well, relatively to everything else around here, anyway. Their eyes are permanently shut, and upon their mouths is a seemingly purposeless red square. Masahiro Ito has said multiple times that he uses red squares to represent screaming mouths. This is why we've seen those photos of smiling women in disturbing places around the otherworld. In Silent Hill 3, they're meant to show Alessa's burning pain as she shrieks from the bottom of her soul in agony. The reason they're on the nurses could also be as a reflection of Alessa, as Alessa spent most of her life in a hospital. But it's also possible they could be there to show the pain of another, of a nurse that was damned to suffer in the otherworld forever. In the first floor visiting room, there are some files left out here on the table. Room S12. Presenting mild audiovisual hallucinations, emotional instability, obsessive ideas. Suspect mild schizophrenia. Will continue observation. Basically calm and cooperative with a strong sense of justice. However, according to reports, becomes very violent when overexcited. There's another patient file here too. Stanley Coleman. Room SO7. Usually passive and cowardly. Also egotistical, sometimes shows and acts on obsessive attachment to a particular woman. This has caused violent incidents. Use caution. Maybe finding this Leonard guy isn't such a good idea after all. And who's Stanley Coleman? Well, coming face to face with a scribbled diary, we soon find out. This day has finally come. That's right. The day when you and I will meet. I was always thinking of you here in this gloomy cell. I never even knew your name or face until today. But now I know. I know you're the one I've been waiting for. And haven't you been waiting for me too? That's why you came to rescue me. Oh, how I love you, Heather. I want to give you my prized doll I made to commemorate our meeting. The start of this everlasting love. Ah, I can already see your smiling face. Let's see what Heather has to say about all this. That's about right. Stanley's notes are something of a side quest in the hospital. You don't have to read them, and in fact, if you miss this first entry, the remaining entries won't even appear, making this whole background story missable. Let's start looking anywhere else for clues to Leonard's whereabouts. God damn it, another one. The organization has me shut up in here. They need to break my will to make me forget all about that. But I'll stay sane, even if they throw me in here with the lunatics. How about if I stick this to the wall? That would be worthless. You can peel it off, can't you? That junk those nasty wenches won't stop using. If a thing has no meaning, there's no reason for it to exist at all. Just as you exist for me. But why haven't you taken my doll with you? My gift must have embarrassed you. How cute you are, Heather. At least this one was moderately helpful. Gotta say, I'm not super thrilled on having to read these out loud. Like the note says, Stanley glues objects to the wall with a frankly impossible amount of adhesive, including a key that I'm sure we're going to need for progression. But it's so buried in there, we're going to need some kind of solvent to get it out. Something that the nurses all have, judging by the note. Oh no, not another one. It's been like 2 minutes. You may not yet have realized your own true feelings, but you sense them unconsciously. And so you're trying to get closer to me. That's a virtue. The path to paradise. If the door's locked, open it. Use the password for the prison gates. I've forgotten his name. Anyway, that quack has it posted. He should be here too. I mean, 4 numbers would have been good enough, but he kept on going. Isn't it a shame I'm not there? Aren't you irritated? I long for you, but you're so cruel. Still, I want you, Heather. Ugh. Good, that Enigma Zone transition gave me just enough time to wash my fucking mouth out. And since you're here, that must mean it's puzzle time once more. The hospital keypad puzzle, to be precise. Our stay this go-around will be exponentially shorter than last time. In an unfortunate turn of events, we'll only be covering the normal difficulty puzzles from this point on, at least in the main videos. See, the remaining primary riddles would take at least 10 to 15 minutes to explain on hard mode. They're that crazy. That's not to say I won't ever be talking about them. I've been thinking about making a bonus video sometime next month when the 4 main parts are finished, where we'll talk about them and a bunch of other secret stuff from the game, but no promises. These videos would have to do pretty well for me to do that. For the time being, let's focus on what's in front of us. The door is locked and it's time for more 4-number codes. The first is larger than the second twice the third smaller than the fourth is half the first. 4 of the numbers are not repeated, 3 are not in the top row, 2 are not in the right row, 1 of the numbers is the final key. Oh god. It's math. Guessing check math too. Let's pull up a keypad and get a working on this. Luckily we don't need a guide or Google this time, I can figure this one out on my own. To make this easier, let's start with the 4th number. Since it has to be half of the first number out of a possible 9, that means it can only be 1, 2, 3, or 4. And it can't be 1 because the 3rd number is smaller than the 4th. This also means the 3rd number can only be 1, 2, or 3. If we take into account the bit that says 3 of the numbers are not in the top row, that means only the 3rd number can be 1, 2, or 3. So the 4th number has to be 4, and since it's half the first, that means the first number is 8. Now for the last 2, we have to look at the part that says 2 are not in the right row. Or inversely, 2 have to be in the rightmost row of keys. That means the 2nd and 3rd numbers are either 3, 6, or 9. Then we take the bit that says the 3rd number is smaller than the 4th. Since the 4th number is 4, this means the 3rd number is 3, and 3 twice is 6. 8, 6, 3, 4. Just a little process of elimination, no big deal. A much more reasonable puzzle than the last one, but that's the difference between playing on normal and hard. In one of the patient rooms is a briefcase with a 4-digit combination lock, as well as, I'm sure you can hear, an alarm clock ringing on the desk. The time on the clock is 7:15, so we just convert that to military time to get 07:15, and there we go. There is a hint for this somewhere else in the hospital, but you really should just be able to figure it out by yourself. A Polaroid camera, huh? Can't imagine why something like that would be here. Off in a small office with some employee lockers, Heather finds some nail polish remover along with a bottle of perfume. The nail polish remover should work wonders on that glue wall of Stanley's, but the perfume is a trick item. Using it will attract monsters, causing more of them to spawn and come after you. The only purpose this serves is to get more kills, which sounds ridiculous, but it can be useful for obtaining certain New Game Plus items. We'll talk about all that in the last video. In the storeroom, we find another creep-tastic letter from fucking Stanley. Heather, my most sacred lover, I'm always watching you. No matter where you are or what you may be doing, I have never lost sight of you. I know you feel intensely lonely, yet with a single key to this door, those feelings won't stand in the way any longer. We haven't been able to see each other for so long. Be patient. It's just a little longer. I'll be patient too, even though I long to hold you in these hands of mine. The key is behind the shelves in the underground garage. Why there? Ask that idiot doctor. There's not a single person here who's right in the head. Not just in this hospital, I mean in all of Silent Hill. Except me. Down to the basement, I suppose. That's more than I was expecting in a game like this. Replacing the usual rifle as our third firearm is a fucking submachine gun. The SMG, as you would expect, is a full auto weapon that's slightly weaker than the handgun, making up for it with its high fire rate and 32 bullet capacity. It has the rarest ammo type in the game, so scarce in fact that I don't have any footage of me using it that isn't a spoiler, as I always save it for bosses. You'll have to just trust my description for now. Behind a blood-stained bookshelf in this storeroom is most definitely something being hidden, but we can't see it from this angle. So Heather reaches back with a camera to get a better look. Enough basement exploring for now. Let's just take a break and head for the roof for some fresh air. Fucking balls, do you have to ruin everything? I also like the rooftop. It makes me want to fly. You too? Okay, let's just go to the third floor now. Another keypad. Lucky we're already carrying a 4-digit code. Input the number from the Polaroid we took earlier, and done. Goodbye, Heather. I'm sorry I wasn't able to respond to your love. It's all over. Leonard despises me because I made fun of it, saying it would come to this. If it weren't for his meddling, I would have been able to meet you in just a little while. Then I could have taken you to my world. A world for us alone, more beautiful than this one. And I had been waiting for this day. For today, the day I'd see you, the day you'd save me. Today. Heather, watch out for him. Leonard is no ordinary guy. Farewell. I loved you. Heather, my goddess. Heather, my lover. Heather, my...
Hello?
Claudia.
No, I'm not.
Don't lie to me, Claudia. You're always trying to run from your responsibilities. Have you come to apologize? Or maybe you still don't realize how foolish you've been. The salvation of all mankind. Ah, what a ridiculous dream.
Wait, just listen to me for a second.
I've heard enough from you already. How did you turn out this way? Where did I go wrong?
Listen to me already. I'm not Claudia.
You're not Claudia.
My name is Heather.
Heather.
Who are you?
Leonard Wolf. I'm sorry. I thought you were my daughter.
Claudia is your daughter?
Oh, so you know her, do you? Are you one of her followers?
No, never. When I find her,
I can feel the hatred.
What?
Behind your words. The anger. You plan to kill her, don't you?
I'm sorry, but She killed my father.
She's a fool. But she's still my daughter. I was going to forgive her if she changed her ways. But I see it's too late. Heather, will you help me?
Help you?
I'm locked up in here, and I must stop Claudia.
Where are you now?
I'm not sure myself, but the door is at the end of the hall on the second floor. I think I can be of help to you. I have a seal. Please.
A seal? The end of the hall on the second floor.
The door at the end of the second floor hallway. There is no door at the end of the second floor hallway. God, this place is not great for my claustrophobia.
Still has an unusually high fever. Eyes don't open. Getting a pulse, but just barely breathing. Why? What is keeping that child alive?
This is stomach-churning. We've been pulled into the other world once more, but it wasn't this bad the last 2 times. The hospital is barely recognizable now. Whatever force is causing these shifts is getting stronger. Fun fact, Heather suffers from a condition known as Aesoptrophobia, or the fear of seeing yourself in a mirror. Being an amalgamation of 3 people, it can be presumed this stems from her fractured sense of self. Terrified, she'll look into the mirror and see someone who isn't her. Why did I decide to tell you this? No special reason. I don't remember there being 3 basements in the hospital. Let's just start at the top and work our way down.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Oh, I forgot your name.
Who are you?
Oh, okay, thanks. Happy birthday, dear. Who are you? Happy birthday to you. Happy 31st birthday.
Is this Leonard?
That's the murderer's name, not my name. I'm not your beloved Stanley either. He's underground now. His new name is Number 7. But don't worry about that now. It's time to celebrate your birthday.
You've got me mistaken for someone else. Today's not my...
I'm not mistaken. Today is your 24th birthday. And I have a present for you. Which do you prefer? To give pain or to receive it? You can have the one you hate the most. Happy birthday to you!
But you're wrong. It's not my birthday.
If you're expecting me to elaborate on what that was, you're about to be sorely disappointed. The happy birthday caller, as he's referred to, is just one of Silent Hill's mysteries that nobody has an answer to. You don't even have to get this call to continue with the game, as far as I'm aware. One thing I can explain, though, is the substance of the call itself. I can't remember if it's come up yet, but Heather is 17 years old. The voice on the phone says it's her 31st birthday. But when Heather questions the voice, he repeats himself, now stating it's her 24th. This isn't just random nonsense meant to make you uneasy and confused. It's actually an Easter egg for fans that are paying close attention. As I said, Heather is 17 during the events of Silent Hill 3. Cheryl Mason was 7 years old when she merged with Alyssa and subsequently passed away. This means the collective girl known as Cheryl, Harry's daughter, has lived 24 years. To get to 31, we have to take into account Heather's original form, Alessa. Alessa was also 7 when she was burnt alive, before existing in an agonized state of near death for another 7 years until she finally merged back together with Cheryl and reincarnated. Adding her 14 to Heather's 17, and you get 31, which is how many years in total Alessa's soul has existed. This whole mess is the reason the birthday caller doesn't know what to call Heather and becomes confused. Is she Alessa, Cheryl, or Heather? I don't think even Heather herself is too sure at this point. The world is teeming with unnecessary people. It's God's decision that I fight. As a knight of honor, as protector of the seal, I sacrifice myself to the blood of criminals. Okay, whoever wrote this is clearly not well in the head, but it doesn't sound like Stanley's writing. This person speaks with more purpose and less absolutely disgusting stalker bullshit. Okay, we pick up a lot of stupid shit in these games, but this takes the cake for the most literally just a piece of actual garbage award. It's just a map of the room. Use the numbers on the gurneys in the order denoted on the Roman numerals. That's it. Hope you don't mind if I just stop here to bitch about the slurpers some more. This is the situation I was mentioning in the last video. Hallways that are too tight to slip by, multiple slurpers, and nurses. It's impossible to fucking see anything, and I still can't hit these little fuckers. I can't even use the beef jerky to distract them because the hall is too narrow, so they come to me anyway. Ugh. Crap. We're gonna need some blood to use as a sacrifice on this altar. I actually forgot to get it earlier, so we have to go all the way back upstairs. What's up, buddy? Hanging out?
Heather?
Yeah? Leonard, where are you?
Thank you. Now I can finally leave here. Now Claudia's ridiculous dream is over. Well, I guess it's time to dispose of her. The salvation of all mankind. Ha! Why must we reward even the unbelievers?
What are you talking about?
About our plans, of course. It's true that God is merciful, but first, one must be chosen. Only we, who hearken to the voice of God, will be given the keys to paradise. Don't you think so, Heather?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and think whatever you want.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that I don't think the way you guys do. I don't want any part of that kind of paradise.
You're an unbeliever. You deceived me.
I didn't deceive you. We were both just wrong about each other. I thought you were a normal person.
So you tried to trick me so you can run off with my seal, eh? Heretic! You plan to destroy God!
I told you I wasn't trying to trick anyone. What is this seal thing anyway?
Don't play innocent. You can't fool me anymore. The seal is mine! I was appointed by God to be its guardian! The only thing you'll get from me is a gruesome death.
Leonard? Is that you?
Death to all who turn their backs on God!
Is every person here a mental case? Well, I guess you're not a person anyway.
This is certainly different. While still being mutated beyond recognition, Leonard is the only monster in Silent Hill that appears to still possess his mental faculties, able to still think and speak despite whatever has happened that turned him into that grotesque thing. The confrontation with Leonard is easier than even the split worm, as long as you've been saving shotgun shells. He'll try and attack Heather with his swollen, bone-tipped arms until you knock him down, at which point he'll start scuttling around underneath the water and try to hit you from there.
Leonard's not here anymore. I guess I should head back to the motel now. I hope Douglas is okay. Huh? What's this?
Well, now that we got this weird seal thing that Leonard wanted to protect so bad, I suppose it's time to get out of here. Hopefully this is what Vincent was talking about.
Why did you send her to my father?
Was that wrong?
It's your fault that he...
But surely it's a good thing. It means he was one of God's beloved, no?
Those who mock God will never receive salvation. You'll go to hell, Vincent. You'll never feel the joy of God's everlasting paradise.
And you think God is going to save you? Ha!
What do you know anyway?
I know about the pleasures of this world. And I want to find my happiness while I'm still here. You hated your father, didn't you? I saw the way he hit you, and kicked you, and made you cry. The memory of his cruelty is forever burned into my mind.
Yes, yes, and that's why we need God.
What you call faith is nothing more than a child crying out for love. That's why you're all alone.
You don't understand. None of you do.